Good afternoon. Today's class, I would like to revise history first chapter, the French Revolution. So, dear students, before going to learn about the French Revolution, so we must be knows about the different reasons for a revolution. Why the common people in France? So they were a revolt against the administration. So there were a lot of reasons and the circumstances. So, what were the things which were created the different ideas amongst French people and why they were completely disappointed about the Louis administration? So, regarding all those, then finally the result also what happened afterwards. See, already I taught this lesson, then once again, for examination purpose, I would like to revise once again. So, dear students, in 1774, Louis XVI of the Bourbon family, so he came to power. When he was came to power, he was only 20 years old, the young one was the young one. And he was married to the Austrian princess Mary Antoinette. Austrian princess Mary Antoinette. So, upon his accession, the new king found an empty treasury. See, the France treasury, when he was came to power, when he was became the emperor of the France, Louis XVI. What about the condition of the treasury? It was completely empty due to different reason. Why? The first thing. So actually, long years of war had drained the financial resources of France. ಸೊ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಯುದ್ಧಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾರ್ ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಡ್ರೈನ್ಡ್ ದ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. Added to this was the cost of maintaining an extravagant court at the immense palace of Versailles. ಸೊ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಏನೇ ಆದ್ರೂ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಆ ಒಂದು ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಆ ಅರಮನೆಯ ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಸೊ ಕಡಿತ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಂತೂ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ದ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ಲಿಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ about the palace of Versailles. Under Louis XVI, that is the one reason because of the costly, extravagant court at the immense palace of Versailles. So this was the one reason, and then the another important one. Under Louis XVI, France was helped 13 American colonies to gain their independence from the common enemy, that is about the Britain. So here the common enemy Britain, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಸಹ ಎನಿಮಿ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಲೂಯಿಸ್ 16th ಅಧಿಕಾರಾವಧಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 13 ಅಮೆರಿಕನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಹೋರಾಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಸಹ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So the war added more than $1 billion to a debt that had already risen to more than $2 billion. That is actually the unit of currency in France, which was discontinued in 1794. That is about it was the name of the currency. I mean the unit of the currency in France, which was discontinued in 1794. So, ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಸಾಲದ. The lenders who gave the state credit, so ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಸಾಲವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. Now they were began to charge 10% interest on loans. So 10% interest ಅವರು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So the French government was obliged to spend an increasing percentage of its budget on interest payments. So to meet its regular expenses, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಅಂದಾಗ ಅದರದೊಂದಷ್ಟು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು, ಅದು ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯ, ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇವನ್ ದ ಟುಡೇ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೊ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚುಗಳಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಯರ್ ಲೂಯಿಸ್ 16th government to meet its regular expenses. So for example, the cost of maintaining an army, the court, and running the government offices and universities, and even the, so like that there were many expenditure were there. See dear students, there were some of the regular expenses such as the cost of maintaining an army, the court, and even the running government offices, including universities and so on. So the state was forced to increase taxes. How? So ನಿಮಗೆ ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಬೊಕ್ಕಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹಣ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಸಿಟಿಜನ್ಸ್ ದೇ ವರ್ ಪೇಡ್, ಸೊ ಅದು ಮೂಲ, ಹಣಕಾಸಿನ ಮೂಲ ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಜನತೆನೇ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. So the government itself cannot produce the resources. ಅಥವಾ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಬಟ್ಟೆ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ that is not a solution also. That may created the another major problem in the society or in the country. So that's what here the state was forced to increase taxes, and even this measure would not have sufficed. ನೋಡಿ, ಇವನ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸಹ ಅದು ಸಹ ಸಫಿಸಿಯೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್. ಹಾಗೆ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನ ಬರೆಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಯಾರು, ಅಂಡ್ ದೇರ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್, ದ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದೋಸ್ ಹೂ ಆರ್ ಪೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಸಹ ವಿಚಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ the number of taxpayers in a France country during that time so less. Why? Because though during the 18th century the French society, it was divided into different estates. So the structure of the French society, it was very different. It was used to called as a estate. Estate ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡರ್ನ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಬಳಸ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಆ ಅರ್ಥದಲ್ಲಿ. And here dear students, when the society it was divided into 3 estates and only members of the third estate paid taxes. So different estate ಅಲ್ಲಿ there were 3 estates during 18th century. ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ಜನರು ಸಹ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯ ಅಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಸಹ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರ ನೋಡಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಓನ್ಲಿ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್, ದೋಸ್ ಹೂ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್, ಓನ್ಲಿ ದೋಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ದೇ ವರ್ ಪೇಡ್ ದ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್. ಸಿ ದ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಸ್ part of the feudal system that dated back to the Middle Ages. The term old regime is usually used to describe the society and institutions of France before 1789 in this chapter. So we'll see that what about the structure of the society. Just now I told about the society during 18th century. It was divided into 3 estates. So in the first estate, so there were clergy. So we all know that those who are look after religious rituals in Christianity, those who are called as a clergy. Okay, and in the second estate there were noble class people. Noble class people, that means nobility or noble class people, rich class people. And what about third estate? See, dear students, the third estate, it's including the different kinds of the people. There we can see the three categories once again under the third estate. The first thing that is about big businessman. Okay, so big businessman, merchants, big businessman, merchants, court officials, lawyers. See, all royal except noble. So they are. And in the second, peasants and artisans. Peasants and so peasants and artisans. And that last category, again, small peasants. Small peasants and even landless laborers also. Landless laborers, workers, etc. Are you getting these students? So this is actually the structure of the French society during 18th century. It is the most important concept, please keep it in your mind. So the system it was like this: first estate, second estate, and third estate. The first estate consists of clergies, those who are look after religious rituals or the religious head, those who are performing especially in Christianity, those who are called as a clergy. And the second estate consists of the nobility class people or the noble class people. And the third estate includes big businessmen, merchants, court officials, lawyers, etc. And again, there is another category, peasants and artisans also. And again, there is another class people such as small peasants, landless laborers, and workers, etc. So, dear students, here one thing you have to observe that during the 18th century, the system of estates in France, it was organized in this way. But here, peasants made up of about 90% of the population. This we have to think. So, 90% of the total populations were peasants. See here, only a small number of them owned the land they cultivated. So out of 90% peasants, only the small number or the small amount, I mean amount in the sense, ಅತಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವತಃ ಜಮೀನನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದಂತಹ ರೈತರ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಬಹಳ ಕಡಿಮೆ. It's very less, a small amount. And ನೋಡಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, the highest percentage in the population about peasants, about 90%. So in that 90%, only a small number of them owned their own land. They were cultivated. And dear students, 60% of the land is about the population. Okay. And 60% of the land actually owned by the nobles, the church, and other richer members of the third estate. ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಸೊ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ನ ಬಹುತೇಕ ಜಮೀನು ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅಥವಾ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯದ ಭೂಮಿ ಏನಿತ್ತು, ಅಬೌಟ್ 60% ಆಫ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಾಸ್ ಓನ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ನೋಬಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ and even the clergies also, I mean the church, and also the other richer members of the third estate, maybe big businessmen or merchants or court officials or someone, the richest class people in the third estate. So the first Here, the another one thing we have to concentrate, and then we should give more important, and then we must know that the members of the first two estates, first estate and second estate, the clergies and nobles. ಏನು ಸರ್ ವಿಶೇಷ ಅಂತೀರಿ? So here the members of the first two estates, that is the clergy and the nobility, so they were enjoyed some of the certain privileges by birth itself. ಸೊ ಹುಟ್ಟಿನಿಂದಾನೇ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಅವರು ಪ್ರಿವಿಲೇಜಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಪೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ಟು ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್. ಬಹಳ ವಿಶೇಷವಾದಂತಹ ಪ್ರಿವಿಲೇಜ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, those who are there in the first estate and the second estate, so they were not paying single penny also. ಸೊ ಅವರು ಯಾವುದೇ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ನೋಡಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಸೊ 60% ಟೋಟಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓನ್ ಬೈ ದೀಸ್ ದ ಕ್ಲರ್ಜೀಸ್, ನೋಬಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಬಿಗ್ ರಿಚ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಪೈಸೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸಹ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. The nobles further enjoyed feudal privileges. Instead of that, they were enjoyed feudal privileges. These included feudal dues which they extracted from the peasants. They were collected some of the dues from the peasants. And here peasants were obliged to render services to the lord, to work in his house and fields, to serve in the army or to participate in building roads. ನೋಡಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು, ಎಂತ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಪೆಸೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಈ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಈವನ್ ಟು ವರ್ಕ್ in his house or field, and even sometimes so to serve in the army also, and sometimes so they were participated in building roads and all. ಇವು ಎಲ್ಲವಲ್ಲೂ ಸಹ ಸೊ ಈ ಪೆಸೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನೋಡಿ, ನೋಬಲ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಪೆಸೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲಾ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅವರು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗೆ ದ ಚರ್ಚ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಶೇರ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್. ಚರ್ಚ್ ಸಹ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಪೆಸೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದೋಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ವರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಸೊ tithes, it was a tax collected from the church. From whom? Peasants. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪೆಸೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಕಡೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು, ಈ ಕಡೆ ನೋಬಲ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಒದಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ಟೈತ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸಹ ಚರ್ಚ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಟೈತ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲೆವಿಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಚರ್ಚ್, ಕಾಂಪ್ರೈಸಿಂಗ್ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, 1/10 ಆಫ್ ದ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್. ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಬೆಳೆದಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಸೊ ಆ ಬೆಳೆದಂತಹ ಬೆಳೆನಲ್ಲಿ, ಆ ಬೆಳೆದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ದವಸ ಧಾನ್ಯ ಏನೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 10ನೇ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗ, 1/10 ಆಫ್ ದ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸೊ ಟೈತ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವರು ಚರ್ಚ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಡಿಯರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಫೈನಲಿ all members of the third estate had to pay taxes to the state. So finally ಇವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಹ, all those big businessmen, merchants, court officials, lawyers, peasants, artisans, small peasants, landless laborers, workers, everyone except first and second estate, so they were all had to pay taxes to the state. These included a direct tax. So there were the different kinds of taxes. Some taxes were direct tax, which were called as a tyrant. So this was the direct tax. And also dear students, so ಇದನ್ನ ಟೈಲೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್, ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಕಟ್ಟತಕ್ಕಂತ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಪೇಯ್ಡ್ directly to the state, that is called as a taille. Then another one, especially from the peasants, that is tithe. Okay, so ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ the number of indirect taxes which were levied on articles of everyday consumptions, including salt or tobacco. ಇವುಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಸಹ ಅವರು ಸುಂಕವನ್ನು ವಿಧಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ಸಹ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. See, the burden of financing activities of the state through taxes was borne by the third estate alone. Whatever the expenditure of the government or expenses is borne by only the third estate. So this is what the difficult. So that's what this was the main reason. Already na ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ, ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರೆಸರಿ ಎಂಟಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾರಣಗಳಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗೆ ದ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್, it was rose from about 23 millions in 1715 to 28 million in 1789. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ನ ಜನಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಸಹ ಮಿತಿಮೀರಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಳ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. We all of you knows that suppose if the country's population it was going to be increased, what are the problems even the present day we are facing or the countries are facing? See, the population of the France, so it was rose from about 23 million in 1715. So it was increased to 28 million in 1789. 1789 mostly 20 million, sorry 28 million population. So this led to a rapid increase in the demand for food grains. ಸೊ ದೇಶದ ಜನಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಳ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಆಹಾರದ ಒಂದು ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಆಹಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ವಿಪರೀತವಾದಂತಹ ಬೇಡಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ರೈನ್ಸ್ ಕುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕೀಪ್ ಪೇಸ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಇದು ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಬೇಡಿಕೆಗೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲೂ ನಾವು ಪೂರೈಕೆಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ಸೊ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಲೇಬರರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಶಾಪ್ಸ್. Most of the workers, so they were actually, we all of you knows that even till today also the workers wages were fixed. Whatever the owner they were fixed the wages, no, that is actually fixed one, yearly once or twice ಅಂತ ಬಹಳ ರೇರ್ ಬಿಡಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ. ಯಾರು ಸಹ in between they are not going to rise the salary for their workers. ಹೆಚ್ಚಂದ್ರೆ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೊಂದ್ಸಾರಿ, 2 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೊಂದ್ಸಾರಿ, 3 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೊಂದ್ಸಾರಿ, ಕೆಲವು ಸರಿ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತಂತ ಕೆಲಸಗಾರರನ್ನ ಕೆಲಸದಿಂದ ತೆಗಿತಕ್ಕಂತ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶಗಳನ್ನು ಸಹ ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. Instead of increasing their wages, so their bonus they used to remove. Even the present condition also the same thing, dear students. So here one thing we have to think. See, wages did not keep pace with the rise in prices even till today. So market ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 kilo rice 60 rupees ಆಗಿದೆ, 70 rupees ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನನ್ನ ಈ ದಿನದ ಕೂಲಿ ಸಪೋಸ್ 100 rupees ಇದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಓನರ್ 150 rupees ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರ? ನೋ. ಸೊ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಅವರ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ವರ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ and according to the market price, so they are not going to increase the wages. So what happened, dear students? The gap between the poor and the rich widened in France country. Things became very worse whenever drought or hail reduced the harvest. ಅತಿವೃಷ್ಟಿ, ಅನಾವೃಷ್ಟಿ, ಬರಗಾಲ ಬಂದಂತಹ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಬಹಳ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆದಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೆಟ್ಟದಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಇನ್ನೂ ಕಠಿಣ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ದಿಸ್ ಲೆಡ್ ಟು ಎ ಸಬ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರೈಸಿಸ್. ಉಳಿವಿಗಾಗಿ ಹೋರಾಟ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ. ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರೀಕ್ವೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ರೇಜಿಮ್. Subsistence crisis, that is about an extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered, that we used to call as a subsistence crisis. Are you getting now the meaning of subsistence crisis? So subsistence crisis means an extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered. So this was created, and the economic condition of the France, it's so worst, and especially the third estate people, they were suffered anything like. So these were all the reasons led a revolution in France. Let us continue in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.